Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today, the man who is thoughts become things, Neo-Positivity. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Indeed we are, and I am in the midst of doing my due diligence with cats today because I'm cat sitting the cat that Louise got in our split, and of course I got Joy as well. So I'm in a 2-cat place today, and Neil, that sounds fairly easy, except particularly since the breakup, both of these guys are really needy. So the neediness just doubled, and now this is like a real test. How well can I stay high vibe so that their neediness gets laid?
You guys disturbed the foundation of the amount of the energy intake.
That's right.
Today. So now adjustments got to be made.
That's it.
So we adjust. We adjust. How's everybody doing out there in video and podcast land? Let us know in the comments what your vibe is like. This year has just started.
It has.
We're a week in, and it's like, all right, how's the first week been? This is Friday, the first, right? This is the first Friday of the new year.
It is, yeah.
How's your year been so far, Walt?
Pretty good. Well, one of the ways that I measure how well my year has started is to see, and this isn't as much of an issue as it used to be back in the day when we did paper checks and so forth, but to see, do I miss writing down the wrong year? Like, so for instance, when I publish, I have to put in the right date as part of the publication, and I haven't missed yet. I've hit 2023 every single time. So I figure from that point of view, I'm off to a good start.
I've always sucked at that. I'm writing stuff back in the day with writing the wrong date on there. Fortunately, I've been cool with all the summit stuff. Neo-Positivity Thoughts Become Things Summit. I'm going to throw the banner up so you guys can see it.
You got that coming up on the 21st. I mean, that's coming up 2 weeks away?
Yep. It's going to be a Saturday, as always, from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern time, and just round campfire atmosphere. Just passing the microphone, talking about the law of attraction, co-signing off of each other, meanwhile exchanging the best law of attraction tips and hints and secrets and lessons that we've learned over the years. I just had a very interesting conversation with a mortgage broker. She has her own real estate school. Her name's Cynthia. And talking with her just really made me, it like put the electrodes on me. Like, God, it makes me want to jump up and do it, because there's so many people that are into the law of attraction, but they don't have that daily interaction. Someone feeding it back to them, bouncing it off of them. So if you're your only source of law of attraction, you have way less law of attraction in your life than having someone else with you. Or that's why I love you that you do the show 5 days a week, because you can always just hop on there and not catch a rerun, but catch live what's going on. So set your reminders. If you have to, bug your loved ones to get, you guys, you need this. You need it coming at you when you're not thinking about it yourself.
Yes.
That is the key. And that's what I'm really trying to implement into my 2022. So 2023.
Great. There we go.
I did it already. I manifested being horrible at it already. And cause I just said, but yeah, get everyone involved. Take advantage of the people around you in that manner, because all you're doing is bringing positivity out of them and into the world.
By the way, I also want to throw the kudos back to Neo too, because some people may not be aware of this. This guy has a daily practice. He literally retreats to his retreat for 2 hours every night. Now, not everybody has 2 hours they can allocate, but live and learn from what he does in terms of the frequency of it. He does it daily. And every single one of those days, I mean, tell people what you do. You do affirmations, you journal, tell us all the stuff that you do, man.
You know, it starts with whatever the universe is calling me to do at that moment. But it's either going to be meditation, which is very seldom that I start off with meditation. It usually starts off with some kind of boost. I forget what show I was doing not too long ago, but they have this thing where this office, right before you go into the meeting, it's like, Walt, tell me 3 things that's awesome about me.
Right.
And you tell me. And it's like, it's kind of like that. Like, I'll start off with that. Some things that are awesome about me that really get me going. And I suggest everybody find that about you. I'm a very rare case to where I have some truly, truly awesomeness about me. Like, you know, being on a SWAT team in the most dangerous city in America, one of the best shots on the SWAT team when I did no background in shooting and just chasing bad guys down dark alleyways in the most dangerous city. Like, dude, that's badass. And having my pilot's license, like stuff like that is just kick ass to me. So I hype myself up immediately with that. And then it's like, okay, where do we go from there?
I remember asking you off the show one time, very recently, about target practice when you were still a police officer, and I said, how often did you hit the target? And you answered, I missed once. I thought, holy crap!
One shot, one time. I shot 100%. We have to qualify twice a year. It's a 60-round course. You have to fire 60 shots. You start at 5 yards and you move all the way back to 25 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 12 shots are shot at 25 yards. And so, you know, you got to get 80% or higher to stay current, you know, to be a cop. Otherwise, they take your gun from you until you pass the course. And I shot 100s my entire career, except for one time, one bullet I missed from the 25-yard line. I did that little jerk some people do with their hands, and I learned from that. I never did it again. So that, you know, just stuff like that. Pep yourself up. Get feeling awesome about yourself. That's how I started off. And I didn't always start like this. Everybody got to understand, everything I do gets tweaked over and over and over to maximize the moment, the vibrational frequency of that moment. So I've learned that starting off at that gets me to good high frequency. And then I'm like, all right, what does the universe want me to do next? What am I going to do next? And if I have nothing, I go right to proactive manifesting or visualizing, whether it be me at a beach, me in a meeting. I go through intricate details. I've noticed that if I want to end up in the Bahamas or on a beach or on a vacation somewhere, I'll visualize walking down the hallway to the elevator or waiting in the elevator. You know, it's the small stuff you got to visualize too. In addition to putting your toes in the sand, the good times where you're laughing, you're drinking, or you're on a balcony meditating, full detailed visualization. And the best part about that is the ego does what it does. It steps in. You're not there. You can't do that. You know what it would take for you to get there. You got to find babysitting. You got to drive you to ride to the airport, and you got to catch the. When the ego comes in and does what it does, I shoo it away, like a child's antics is what they call it in The Secret. I shoo it away, and then I go back to my scenario. And sometimes the ego will come in and take me down well, you got to get milk on the way home. And, oh, yeah, you got to make that phone call, make sure that deals goes through. And it could be a couple minutes before I get back on track, but I wake up, shoo it away, and get back on track. That's just like meditating. When you're meditating, you're quiet, and then all of a sudden, I got to get milk. You shoo that thought away. And every time you do that, you're conditioning your brain, you're working out that muscle to wake up from those negative narratives or any other narratives. So in the process of proactively manifesting that vacation, visualizing that vacation, I'm also working the muscle of shooing away the ego, letting me sit in these beautiful headspace long enough to actually pull it towards me. And then I go from there. I bring in family members. The wall thing, I'm accustomed to giving my dad a Rolls Royce. I do it every night. Every night. And for people who don't know what the wall thing is, I'll just explain as briefly as I can. In my mind, my imagination version of my dad, which is totally different from my real dad, because my real dad is flesh and bones, and this one is in my imagination. You know, though I may know my dad's mind better than anyone else, it's still not him. The one that's in my mind is slightly different from him. So for me, for the imagination version of myself to give an imagination world version of a Rolls Royce to the imagination world version of my father, it's a fact, and it's something I could do easily. And the ego has to sit down and shut up and let me sit in that and feel great about doing that for him.
Yeah.
And when you're watering that seed, you're manifesting, you're pulling that future towards you. Things are happening. People are talking, conversations, money's getting exchanged. The next thing you know, you keep watering that seed until it's there. And so doing those type of exercises, doing things for different members of my family, meeting people, interacting with people. My favorite artist, meeting them, how that interaction would go. I'm literally just running scenarios until I get tired of running scenarios. And then I'll go put a song on, a really dope song that lifts me up. And that song puts me in another scenario. And then something might happen. It'll start to get late. I may start to get tired. I'll come in here. I'll lay in my recliner and I'll meditate. I'll meditate as long as I can. Then I'll wake up a half an hour later and I say, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so basically, you know, that's how it goes. And in the course of those 2 hours, I'll come up with some profound mental exercise, like the wall and, or the watcher exercise or whatever, you know. I'll come up with some mental exercise I've never heard anyone do before, and it just makes sense. Like the universe tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, here's your next great exercise.
Right, right.
And then that's all of my videos on like Instagram and TikTok. They all come from between midnight and 2 a.m. Some idea I just had of how to visualize that scenario without the ego kicking my back in. My main area of practice. Be able to say something without the ego stepping up.
I love that. And I want to point out 2 things. I mean, Neo is perhaps a little unusual in that he is not only willing to, but also able to devote 2 hours a night, 12 midnight to 2 a.m. That may not be a time frame that works for other people, and you may not be able to do 2 hours. But even if you can only do 10 to 15 minutes a day, if you're doing it every day, I mean, you tell me if you think differently, but I think just the repetition of doing it every single day is probably more powerful than even the amount of time you're putting in. Because if you only did that 2 hours a day, like once a week or something like that, it wouldn't have the same impact.
That's so important on so many different levels because it takes discipline to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And which is kind of like the same thing as it's a choice to do that, and choosing to even wake up throughout the day, smell the roses, look at nature in between every meeting. That's choice right there that most people don't make. And it's one of the hardest choices because you don't choose to do it because you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meeting, go to the bathroom, eat, meeting, live stream, go to the bathroom. You know, kids got home, homework. Next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock at night and you haven't done any mental exercises. So choosing to do them is one thing. But if the world's just flying at you a mile a minute, choosing to set an alarm to remind you to do them is another thing.
Scheduling it.
And then the alarm goes off and you're so busy, you're like, I'll do it in 5 minutes, and then you don't ever do it. Choosing to stop what you're doing and actually do it. So it's all these choices and all this effort has to go in. It really is a lot, but that's what it is. Choosing to have the discipline to do it more often than not. I'm doing that from midnight to 2 a.m. and that's the clearest because families sleep all good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this all day. I get more than 8 hours a day doing this.
Sure.
I do. And I have over 50 alarms that go off between my phone and my watch.
I'm still blown away by that 50 alarms. You've told me that for months now, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of alarms.
I said to myself, I'm awake for 16 hours throughout the day. So I should have at least 16 little alarms. Just goes off once. I look at it. It says, appreciate life, appreciate your kids, appreciate your finances. And I said, once an hour isn't enough.
Wow.
And then it came to twice an hour. Now I got 32 alarms. But then I needed more. I don't want to think about the law of attraction once an hour. I want to think about it more than that. I want it to be my primary focus. I want it to go off in my head between every single meeting, between everything I'm doing. 60 to 70,000 thoughts on average per day per person. That's what the standard is. Each and every one of them is either taking food off my dinner table, taking money off my dinner table, or adding to it. There's no in between because time doesn't sit still. I'm getting older, and so is that piece of fruit in my refrigerator. There is no sitting stagnant. You're either going down or you're going up. And so I try to capitalize on all of them. So 8 hours a day, best believe I am proactively making sure my mind is in a better headspace than it was before I woke up. And I could be imagining a trip to Disney. I could literally be thinking about a trip to Disney, having fun with the family, and then wake up and say, ooh, let me law of attraction this. Let me make it a unlimited trip to Disney. I'm not there for 3 days. I'm there for a week with the option to stay for a month because I have that many finances.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about holding this. So no matter what scenario you're thinking about, you can always make it a little bit better.
Right.
And so that's why all the alarms go off, to remind me to do a mental exercise and keep me in the repetition of whatever thought I'm having when I wake up to this moment, just make it a little bit better.
That's very good. Now, the topic for today, one that you chose for us to address is mirror exercises, which is yet another process you can do. Another way you can kind of zero in on how am I feeling? What can I do to refocus myself? What is it I want to attract and so forth? And it's really focusing specifically, for me anyway, different people are going to look at this differently. For me, mirror exercises are focusing on me believing in myself. Because the more that I believe in myself, the more confidence that I have in myself, the more confidence that I have that I really am an attractor, that I actually can make things happen by doing these mental exercises, by doing the wall exercise or whatever else that I'm doing. The more confidence that I have, the more that's going to translate to success. Because the confidence is actually going to play into, really good focus, really good choices, to use the word you were using. By good choice, I mean a choice where I actively follow through, where I actually do whatever it is that I'm choosing to do. And when you have the confidence that goes along with it, it's so much easier. It's really hard. Let's be honest. It's when you're not feeling confident about this stuff, it's hard to do because you're not feeling confident, right?
That's the best part about the mirror exercise. I want everybody, even now, if you have to get up and do it, look in the mirror and say something really confident. I love life. Or something, and then look dead into your eyes and say it, and you're going to see something happen. Something's going to pop up.
It's quick, too.
Dang, I just lied. Like, I really felt good about life, but I could see in my eye, there's a little bit of doubt. There's a little bit of, it could be better. You should be here by now. And that's like the ego kind of doing its thing. And from there, that should intrigue you enough to want to do more mirror work, say more things to yourself. And that's when you're going to start to explore. For me, I looked in the mirror and I'm not even going to say visualize. I proactively felt like God was coming to me in that me. God took over that body in the mirror and I talked to it. Like I was me talking to God, wearing my flesh suit in that mirror. Mm-hmm. And when I talked to it, I would get responses.
That's good.
I would say thank you. And immediately I would hear, you're welcome. I would say you're welcome and I would hear thank you. And that is what really shook me. Because I said to myself, well, you know what? If I wasn't thinking, I would not be manifesting.
Right.
Therefore, we work together in this game. Mm-hmm. You need me to think to produce the future, because without me thinking to produce the future, you're not producing anything. So us as people and God, we work in tandem in that. And so that really made me dive deeper. That made me switch the roles. The mirror was the earthly version and I was God, and I gave me a message and got one back.
That's nice.
And you end up playing all these games while you're looking into your eyes, and you end up discovering so much about yourself. Most people don't want to sit quietly and talk to God and pray because they know their mind is going to go to something negative, like that bitch Susie at work. And they don't want God to hear it, so they don't talk to God. And it's like, you do know that God or whatever you believe in can hear, is in your mind too. So you're not really hiding anything. So if that's your reason for spending less time there, that's a dumb reason, because it can hear your thoughts anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's stuff like this that you discover that open me up to wanting to talk more, to open up dialogues and have conversations. And I'm not talking about, dear God bless Aunt Susie, to where you're just speaking out to the world. I'm talking about a one-on-one conversation. Like if me and you were talking one-on-one conversation, my son walked by, I wouldn't even notice him walk by because I'm engaged.
Right.
Have that type of conversation with God. You're talking to a being who is listening, as opposed to out to the walls hoping something's listening.
And I think what's going to happen too is that the experience that we have when we look in the mirror is going to be a direct reflection of our own belief system about existential things and about spiritual things. Like
that's
for
where
myself,
you learn. That's where you learn really how confident you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also learn what it is that you really believe too. Because when I remember, especially the first few times that I did it, but even after that, when I'm looking in my own eyes in the mirror, it's not so much that I have a God experience. It's that I have a deep personal connection experience.
That's
like I say something to my own self in my own eyes and I can feel it inside. Like, oh, I just felt that message. Yeah, I said it, but I also felt it at the same instant. And it's a little disconcerting at first, but after I got used to hearing that and experiencing that, I kind of became not dependent upon it, but I came to look forward to it. I wanted to experience it again and again because it didn't happen right away. At first, it was just me talking into the mirror and looking at my own eyes and nothing really there. But after a time, I began to feel how I was responding internally. I began to and it's hard to put it into words. It's not like I could say, well, I had this particular experience that was blah, 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 blah. No, it's more like, oh, I felt that. I felt that. Whatever it was I just said, I felt that inside. I wouldn't necessarily be able to express what it was, but I could feel it. And the more that I did it, the more I felt it. And now I felt like, wow, I'm really connecting internally. I'm connecting internally in ways I have never done before. And that, I believe, for me anyway, is where the confidence started to build. Because now I felt like not only was I asking, I was listening. I was doing both at the same time in a way that I had never done for myself before. And that activity made me feel more confident. Why? I'm not really sure. I think because I began to realize I'm a part of this experience. I think up until that point, I was kind of discounting myself. I was like the observer, right? I was observing the rest of the world, but I wasn't really here. You know, I was like, there's all this stuff going on around me, but it's not me. You know, I became a part of it.
That is
my confidence came in.
I think that's such a huge step in growth, is removing yourself from watching this movie and acting this movie, being this movie. So I guess they say life, instead of life happening to you, you're happening to it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge part of it. But the mirror thing really kills me, because if you think about like the best looking person on the planet looking in the mirror and hating what they see, got nothing to do with their face. They're looking in their eyes. Mm-hmm. And there's something about looking into your eyes and making a statement. I'm telling you, just look into the mirror and say, I love life. And you're going to see something you probably don't like. You're going to see a little something goes on with your pupil that makes you say, wow, I don't like it as much as I thought I did. Why don't I like life? Everything's going great right now. And you start, oh, well, I'm letting my ego tell me that I should be here by now, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Or I should have this many views by now, but I don't. Because that's when I look in the mirror and I'm like, dude, things are going amazing. I'm fucking killing it. First thing that pops up, how many views you got? Because that is the most lackingest part in my current goal, career-wise, is the views. But everything else is through the freaking roof. But it's that one little thing. And the crazy thing and the best thing about that is, I guess, I have an answer for that. I know why my stats are the way they are, because that's where I expect them to be. You know, and it's just like me seeing myself as a billionaire. I will be there one day, because being the voice of the Thoughts Become Things movement just comes with that. That's changing the world on a scale that's never been done before. But it's very hard for me to see now because I've never been there. Mm-hmm. And that's why I look in all these books for all that other stuff. But that's why it's been my main area of focus this whole time, is because the ego. Being able to say something and shut the ego up long enough to where you can marinate in it, vibrate at that frequency. Any two things that vibrate at the same frequency will naturally pull towards each other and make it happen. So that's been my major area of study since the beginning.
It's also a great indicator of what it is that we struggle with, because like you said, you know, we may put out there, we want X, Y, and Z, but we really don't feel like we have it or believe that we can get it. And of course that has a law of attraction element to it all by itself. But when you do it into a mirror and you get that response, you really get a very firm hand on what it is you really believe in that moment and what it is you're having trouble with.
Just the subconscious. They say that you don't know how you feel about something deep down in your subconscious because you can't access your subconscious. You know, like when someone has a small business, they're opening, they're like, it's going to do great. It's going to do great. And they're telling their family it's going to do great and portraying all kind of success. And then opening day isn't as good as they thought. And the statistics in that craft aren't as good. And next thing you know, the business shuts down. Well, that's the thing. They were happy on the outside and they thought they were happy, but deep down buried in their subconscious in the space that we cannot access as humans, that's where the doubt lied. And that is where everything happens based on your subconscious. So you hearing you talk, I'm thinking to myself, this would be the easiest way to really feel that area that we can't access, how we really feel about something. Look in your mirror, look in your eyes and say it with all the confidence you can, and you'll immediately identify the doubt areas.
One of the most powerful things for me when I identify those doubt areas, I don't necessarily think about them as a doubt area. I think about them as a this isn't true area, which is pretty much the same thing, but it's kind of a semantic thing, I guess. But I just think of it, well, that's not true. That's not true. But when I look in my own eyes and I recognize that's not true experience, that enables me in a way that no other process I know of does to appreciate that part of me that's struggling so much. I think most of the time we have a tendency to be critical of that. We have a tendency to say, oh, I'm so weak there. I screwed up. I fucked up. This horrible thing's going on. But we just go on and on and on. But the real strength comes in appreciating where that came from and loving it and saying, you know what? I accept the way it is right now. Because when you can do that, that's when the power comes in. And all of a sudden you start to feel like, well, maybe I can start to believe. Maybe I can start to change my mind in that regard. Maybe I can start to see possibilities I wasn't seeing before about that thing, whatever that thing is that I feel like has been holding me back. It's the appreciation that allows us to change that.
Getting to the root of things, I like to break stuff down, go deeper, deeper, deeper to try to solve it all. I just want to say that because I struggle, I felt this way too. I was wondering what was wrong with me. Mm-hmm. Why do I keep thinking that? Why do I keep doubting that? Why do I keep thinking that? But just blame it on society and walk with it. Just blame it on society. Society's got us trained to think that way, and we need to get out of it because it's going to come. Those type of thoughts are going to come, and you're going to have to say, well, that's just the way I was programmed. Time to reprogram. Mm-hmm. Just like iPhone come out with updates, we need to come out with updates.
Yeah, it's true.
And sometimes it's a whole framework redo. Sometimes it's not just let's update picture quality. They're going to upgrade the whole system.
Yeah,
and every time they every time they do the upgrade with the iPhone, everybody loves it. Upgrade all this. Upgrade all. Make the choice to sit down. If you're going to spend an hour a day in the gym, you should spend an hour a day in this gym.
So do you remember the first time you did mirror exercises? Do you remember what your response was? Because I remember what my response was. My response was, oh, God, this is hideous. I can't do it. But what was yours? It's
funny because I've always been able to get almost any girl I want. I'll just say it like that. And I'm not trying to be arrogant because I have lower self-confidence than most. And I'm working on that. So I avoided the mirror a lot. My whole life, I only got in the mirror to get ready, to make sure that this line above my mustache is even with this line and this line and the shirt, never looking at this more than I have to.
Yeah. It's certainly
I didn't like what I saw here. And I knew I wasn't going to like what I saw if I looked into my eyes in the mirror. That was always freaky. Like growing up, I felt like that version of me was going to jump out and grab me by the collar. So I didn't do that anyway because I used to watch a lot of scary movies. I always liked scary movies and zombie movies. I won't touch a dead body. I don't go near them because they might reach up and grab you. So I didn't do the eyes because of childhood movies, and I didn't do the face because of self-esteem, self-hate, whatever. But like I said, the statistics prove that I could go into the bar and probably get the baddest girl in there, but I still couldn't wrap that up. And so when I first started doing the mirror exercises, it was just tough to do, but I knew it had nothing to do with my physical appearance. when I first did a mirror exercise, I went in with the intention of seeing what the heck was going on in these pupils. And the reason why I first did it, and I think one of my best friends, I have to thank her for this. She told me that she didn't like to look in the mirror because she didn't like what was coming at her. She didn't like to see what was going on in her eyes. She was doubting herself, and she said, and I said, I'm pretty confident in the fact that my life is the bomb, because I was retired, doing what I want every day, living how I want. I didn't have half the body pains that I have now. And I said, I want to look in the mirror and say, I love life. Things are going great, and I want to see what happens. And this is what really had prompted it was pictures. We were talking about pictures online, and you see somebody smiling in the picture, and they got a big smile, but something in their eyes is fictitious. Mm-hmm. Something in their eyes, they not really happy right now. Yeah. And I could see that. And I had said that to her, and that's what started it. She was like, I'm happy. And I said, I don't know, man, that last picture you posted, what are you talking about? I'm happy. And that's how everything kind of spawned. And so, yeah, the first time I looked in the mirror, I went in there knowing I was going to bypass the face because I know where that was going to take me. Same place it's always taken me. I was going to go straight into the eyes. I was going to say something and listen to what it said back. So I went in with a specific goal, and that's what it was. I love life, but this could be better. That's what my pupil said to me. This could be better. That could be improved. You should be there by now in this area. So this is a reason to not appreciate life completely to the 100% extent that you're trying to do right now, looking into the mirror. And I said, you little sucker. Like, not only are you in the back of my mind when I'm walking around trying to be confident, but you exist in my pupils as well. And that's where I said, oh no, I need to dive into this. And I was like, I wonder if people are writing books about this. And I never even did kind of research that because I've just been researching. I like to do my own research first. Mm-hmm. That way, when I go read a book and someone's saying the same thing I said, I drew that conclusion myself.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm on the right track. Keep doing the things I'm doing as far as researching things in the format that I research. So yeah, I'm still a work in progress of that, but I haven't really heard of any books that are keying in on that.
I can't think of any that have done exactly that, where they're telling you what goes on during a session. What I will tell you is this, and you kind of cued it in my mind with what you were just saying there. When I first started doing mirror exercises, before I did the first one, I think I honestly believed that everyone else would do fine with it, but I couldn't. That no one else would have the same kind of problem that I would have. No one would have the same kind of resistance that I would have. And it turns out to be exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought. I thought I'm just, everybody else is better at it than I am. I'm one of the few who really can't do it. There might be a few others like me, but most people could do it just easily. And when I found out that wasn't true, it actually helped because, okay, I'm not the only one.
For me, it was the whole looks thing because I seen beautiful women hate what they see. I knew people were going through it before I even tried.
Okay.
So it was just like every woman I know beats herself up way worse than all the men I know. I think it's just in their nature.
No, I think the men beat themselves up too. They just don't show it.
Oh, they do. But the women get bad at it. Yeah. They're like, I'm fat and I'm ugly. I'm like, you're 110 pounds and you're on the cover of a magazine. That's not accurate. And, that really led me down a foxhole that is this whole mirror exercises. And, still to this day, you and Debbie, something we had done on a show had me really, really get to the point where me and you, I think we had that kind of breakthrough in the same month where it was like, I'm able to say I love you in the mirror and really. Oh,
right. I remember that. Yeah.
Really, yeah. It was right after a show we had did. I had gotten the mirror and I had gotten its face. Like we were going to have, you probably thought I was a crazy man if you was a fly on the wall. But I got so much clarity out of that. And I was able to I told you guys, I was able to make the ugliest face I can make in the mirror. And I was laughing at how much I loved me. I loved that face that I could make. I loved every part of
feeling.
It is. It is. And I got to tell you, most things with the law of attraction, I always say it's not like a black belt. Once you get it, it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like enlightenment, you don't get enlightened and it's yours. It's a state of mind that you're in and out of. And most of the things in the law of attraction are like that. But I haven't really bounced back to the old me since we had that breakthrough.
Wow, nice.
You know, every now and then I might make a face that I'm like, ooh, don't make that in public. But yeah, I'm not going to make it in public, but I still love it. You know, I still love what I can do.
I can say with a great deal of confidence that this whole mess up in my own life that I experienced where Louise and I broke up.
Transition.
Okay. Whatever you want to label it.
Transition in your life.
To me, it felt like everything messed up. I mean, that's just the way I felt about it. But I also knew that there were 3 things that helped me to get through. Well, 2 things really. I'll break it down into 2 things. One was tremendous support from friends like yourself. I reached out to the people who I knew I could trust, and they came through like champions. It was fabulous. But the other thing that really worked was all these different processes I picked up over the years. And one of them is the mirror exercise. Now, I was not actively doing mirror exercises while I was in the midst of it, but what I had previously done with mirror exercises had given me the confidence that I needed so that when I was faced with this massive test, I knew I could get out of it. As painful as it was, as horrible as it was, as depressed as I was, I knew because of that prior experience that I could climb out, and I could climb out as quickly as I was willing to do the work. And that did more for my mindset than anything else. Because you know as well as I do, if you don't really have foundation built up, it can be really challenging to get in the mindset. And it was still challenging, even with what I was going through.
Yeah, even with a solid foundation, it could be very difficult.
Yeah, but that foundation made a difference. It was the difference between me getting through 80% of it in 4 days versus what would happen with most people where they'd get through 80% of it in 4 months.
Yes. And that's 120 days.
Yeah.
That is a long freaking time.
It is.
Lots of hours. Confidence is everything in life. And that be it, if you're confident you're going to lose, that's what's going to happen because of your confidence.
Right.
If you're confident you're going to make it through something faster because you have a solid foundation. You've been doing this show long enough with enough guests and enough people to know, listen, as much issues we've talked about on this show, I'm equipped for this. I'm well equipped for this.
Yeah.
And that's what got you through, man. That's what got you through. Like we did what we did talking to you on the phone, and I was happy to be a part of it. But that confidence right there is what is what really played it. Because we could have said all the best things in the world. You could have got Tony Robbins on the phone and Mother Teresa and Gandhi. And if you were in the headspace of this is going to take 4 months.
Or if I was in the headspace that, well, they can do this, I can't. Or if I was in the headspace of, I don't really know how to do this. Or if I was in the headspace of, that's way too far for me to reach. Or if I was in any of those headspaces, any of that would have stopped me.
So the foundation was confidence, man. Yeah, confidence
exactly.
in every beam of that house, of every single, because every, you know me, I call them thought foundations. Every single thought you have has a different foundation.
That's right.
Based on the conclusions I drew 1 second ago, and now 1 second ago. So each thought has its own foundation. Don't think you're just 100% solid and it's going to be like that forever. It's like jogging. You have to work at it every day. You know, do these mental exercises every day and practice more, practice waking up every day for the rest of your life. It's just going to be there. Accept it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But the reward is the ability to create your future.
And when you run into a crisis, to get through the crisis quickly. That's almost bigger.
It is.
I mean, the future is great if it's, the future you want and you get there. Wow, that's excellent.
Crisis is now.
Crisis is immediate. Yeah. And when that crisis hits, so many of us just kind of roll up into a ball, emotionally speaking, because we don't have the tools. We don't know how to deal with it. So when you know how to deal with it, when you know what you can accomplish, when you know what's possible for you, and you're willing to actually stretch yourself and risk it and say, oh God, I got to do this because I don't want to feel like this pain anymore. Boy, is that worthwhile to have done the work that got you there.
You know what?
And that's what the mirror work really does. The mirror work is wonderful for a lot of different things. I really think the biggest thing it does is it helps you build the confidence. I think it does that better than any other process that I've ever encountered. I mean, you tell me different if it's true for you, but I think that it has done more for my self-confidence than anything else I've ever done.
100%. 100%. And that is why I think that models you get out what you put in. If you're a model and you spend 8 hours a day in front of the mirror, it makes sense. You're manifesting, you looking at you, people looking at you, talking about your looks, Same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger was practicing acting 4 to 6 hours a day. He would practice, and he became one of the biggest actors on the planet.
He did.
You know, The Rock does the same thing. 6 hours in the gym, 4 hours working on acting. He didn't just stop. He's taking acting classes. The comedians, all of them, they talk about going into random spots. Like Kevin Hart, he'll go to a random comedy club and just say, hey, can I take the stage for an hour and try new material? People don't see that. They think he just gets on stage and wows people. He's trying material and he's scrapping more than half of it, just like all the rest of it. You know, you got to spend time in your craft, and no matter what you do. I wanted to touch on that pain. We were talking about the what was the word we were using for, like, traumatic incidents happening right now? What were you calling that?
Well, we were using a lot of them, but basically it was not happy and not pretty.
Yeah. Pain is that thing. When you get, last night, I had a weird Charlie horse in my tricep down here that I had never had before that wouldn't go away. And it was a moment of panic. Like, yo, this is not going away. What the hell's going on? Like, you can't go to the hospital talking about my arm is cramping. If I take Tylenol, Advil, it's going to take about 45 minutes to kick in. Like, this is like really bothering me. That is the weirdest stuff I've ever felt before. Crisis is what we were saying. That's the word.
Oh, that's right.
When you hear us talking about crisis, I don't want you to just think about when your grandma's in the hospital. When you think about any crisis, my back just started hurting. Like, I ain't never felt it before. And this is bullish. Like, what do I do? Situations like that, and breathing techniques. See it as, look, this is temporary. It's about to go away. It's about to fade away. Okay. I'm good. This isn't forever. Whatever you got to do to get out of that space mentally, I don't just use it for these super duper situations. Crisis can be small or big. I just really wanted to put a lot of emphasis on that.
You're reminding me of something. There was a number of years ago where I was tending to cramp up at night in my leg or in my foot. And so I would have to do the trick of, you get up and you stand on a hard, cold floor and all that kind of thing. But that was waking me up and getting me out of bed. And I was thinking, this isn't good. I mean, it's happening too often. What can I do to change this? Well, I did a little reading, and first thing I learned was, you got to be hydrated enough. If you're cramping too much, you're not hydrated enough. I said, okay, so I'm going to start engaging in a program of making sure I drink more and more water every day. And that helped. That helped quite a bit. But I would still cramp up sometimes, and I'd still be waking up in the middle of the night and, bemoaning, oh my God, what's it going to take for me to stop waking up in the middle of the night just because I got this stupid cramp? How can I stop getting the cramps? How can I deal with it? And then one day I was basically meditating on it. I was meditating on, give me universe, send me a solution, download something to me. And the message I got was, stretch your foot. I said, what do you mean stretch my foot? Like, stretch it, point your toes toward yourself. I said, I can't do that. And he said, yeah, I know, but just try to do it anyway. Do it as far as you can. I said, okay. So the next time I started to cramp, I did that, and the cramp immediately went away. I didn't have to get out of bed. I didn't have to go drink the water. I didn't have to do anything. Just doing that one thing made the cramp go away. So the combination of doing the physical thing, which was get the water, make sure I'm staying more hydrated, combined with going with what this download told me to do, I don't ever have to get up in the middle of the night and get a cramp out of my leg. If I feel it starting, I mean, within seconds, I can be half asleep, and in half asleep, my toe will curl upward and the cramp will go away and I go back to sleep.
Nice. Dude, you said, I had to write it down, download something to me.
Oh yeah. Well, you can get downloads.
A direct request from Source Energy. And it's not like, God bless Uncle Timmy.
No.
It was more of an order. Like, listen, we have this
suggestion, really. Just do this.
But it was like, the reason why I say order, it's like,
try this. It was that
confidence. Yeah. It wasn't like, please, will you? it was, yo, download me this information. I need this. Like, yo, hook me up real quick. And it's less baggy. And when you get less baggy with it, you get more expectation out of it. And that's deep down, buried deep, subconscious. I expect you to answer because, you know, that's how we work. I ask questions, you answer. When you come at it like that, again, that's that confidence that you're going to get an answer, and you got the answer. Proof is in the pudding, man. The proof is in the pudding.
It is. I have a friend who I had a conversation with her yesterday, and she's been listening to the podcast for a while, and she asked me, how is it, you know, are you like writing your questions down in advance, or how are you asking all your questions and so forth? And so I told her, well, I basically have three things that I do. The first one, like if I don't really have a question available and I need a quick way to get one, I'll just take the last thing you said, the last sentence that you said, and I'll pick up one topic from there. It doesn't even have to be the thing that you said. Just like you use the word crisis. You know, so let's say you use the word crisis in the last sentence. I'll just take that word crisis and I'll turn it into a question. So, okay, that's cool what you said about crisis, Neo. You know, but when you encounter a crisis, what do? That's what I do. I ask a question like that. So that's my first technique. My second technique is actually not really a technique. It's more like listening to what's going on in the conversation and being really curious about something that comes up. So I'll kind of make a mental note and like, well, okay, as soon as Neo's done, I got to ask him this thing. You know, so that's why.
That's why I'm always writing, because halfway through you talking, I got my next question right now. I want to know what you meant by that. Yeah. That's right.
So those are the two more practical ones, but the third one's the fun one, because the third one is the one I only do this when I'm feeling really good, which is most of the time during the show because we're usually high vibe, but not always. I'm not always feeling it, you know. So, but the third one is I didn't really hear anything in that last sentence that I wanted to latch onto, and I don't really have anything that I picked up over the last part of the conversation. So the third one, when I'm really feeling it, when I'm daring myself to just accept a download, I'll say, okay, universe, send me something. And it's my turn to talk, and I'll open my mouth and I'll wait for something to come out, which is scary as hell. But you know what? It always comes out. And the really freaky thing, I remember the very first time I did this too. It was back a few years back when Joel Elston was a regular on the show. I did it with him. And when it came out, it was almost like, I won't say that somebody had taken over my body. It wasn't that, but my conscious mind was not creating it. So it was like it was coming from inside me somewhere else. I wasn't sure exactly where. And I wasn't even sure that it was coherent or lucid or made any sense. So it was one of those rare circumstances where I actually went back later on, replayed that part to see, did that make any sense? Did it sound like anything? And I was amazed to find not only did it make sense, it was actually profound.
It's profound. That's how
crap.
Dude, that's how every single live stream and my summit. So many people ask me, where's your outline for the summit? How's it going to flow? Yeah. What questions are you going to ask? Are you keying in on anything? And it's like a blank sheet of paper. I'm going to talk for the next 4 hours with a group of people. And we just going to kick it. Mm-hmm. Because if we were all 4 of us or 6 of us were sitting at a table, just talking about the law of attraction, playing cards, you know, having a couple drinks, it would just be a conversation. I wouldn't need a list of cue cards, you know? And my first show off the bench when I was doing for Comcast back in Jersey, I used to use cue cards. Mm. And, you know, that just wasn't me.
Yeah.
It just wasn't me. So yeah, I go in blind. Most of my questions are for what you just said. However, if you talk for 3 minutes, I'm going to have 3 topics and I'm going to forget about the first 2. And while I'm trying to remember the first 2, I'm going to forget about the third because I'm also listening to you. And then I get to the end and I'm just like, wow. I just let the universe take over. I guess the stream of David take over and just.
Well, it's the stream of Neo in that case.
There you go, and it's just profound. It be some good stuff. Like, yo, I don't know where that came from, but that's my next reel. That's my next reel.
Because you'll kind of play it back. You say, "Wow, I said that."
Yeah, and you know what? I want to go back, and I actually did it. My last post on Instagram was an audio I pulled from one of our shows.
Oh, really?
And so now I'm like, anytime I give a good 60-second rant, I'm using that as a reel. but I'm very rare. I talk for less than 60 seconds. So I got to learn how to tighten that up. But you know what? I do want to hit you with this, and we can get into it more when I have it fully. The wall has been exceeded.
Oh, exceeded. How do you mean by exceeded?
It's been trumped.
Okay.
I've taken it to the next level. And
So
I'm
what's
not
the next
talking
level?
about Donald.
Okay.
I was here in this room, and basically, I touched on the wall exercise briefly for everybody who doesn't know. If I'm going to see a Lamborghini as mine, my ego's going to step in and say, no, you don't. Not yet. You don't have that. You know what it would take to get that. However, if I was to see, I consider the wall in front of me in this room. On the other side of that wall, I just see that as imagination land. And if I put an imagination land Lamborghini over there and say that Lamborghini is sitting there and it's mine, the ego kind of has to shut up, because that imagination land ego is mine. I do own Lamborghini. I do own it. It is mine. And I like to see myself as the more time I spend thinking about that Lamborghini, I'm pushing it, pulling it towards the wall. It'll penetrate through the wall, and it'll eventually be my physical reality.
And the key to that, I want to make sure we hit the key. The key is it doesn't really matter whether it's in physical reality. It is real in the imagination land. And that's the key part.
That's where the ego shuts up and lets you sit with that stack of hundreds that's sitting right there on the floor on the other side of that wall. Yeah. It's yours already. You can appreciate having it in that imagination world. And that's beautiful because you have unlimited funds and unlimited resources in the imagination world. What I had done was I took that Lamborghini and the trailer and the truck and all the different stuff I wanted, and I applied it to an old mental exercise I do called Amazon.com, where it's already ordered.
Okay.
I've already paid for it. I've already done everything I need to do to get that. It's just in the mail. Because that's what I love about Amazon. You paid for it. You've done everything you could possibly do to get that here. All you can do now is wait.
Mm-hmm.
But while it's coming, this is the second part, while it's on its way, I can fully live in and enjoy what I'm going to do with it.
Okay.
Like when I ordered my Oculus, my VR goggles, it was taking a couple of days to get here. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And there was no egoic, no, you're not. You don't have it yet. Because it was on its way. Yeah. There was no, you got to get the money to pay for that. I already paid for it. There's nothing left I could do but wait and enjoy waiting as much as I can. And so I've always known I had to find a way to apply that feeling and that emotion to the Lamborghini and the stardom and all the other stuff that comes with being the voice of the Thoughts Become Things movement. But this was different. I was able to sit in it. I was able to look at Mother Nature or Ashira or God or the universe, whatever you want to say. And I'm like this, I'm just like this. I know that the more I think about it, it's coming. No payment, no people, no nothing. All that is the little middleman that's going to happen to get it here. So when I place that order, I can literally just sit back and enjoy it coming just like a package. And ever since I've done that, it's been about 4, 5, 6 days now. Probably this might be day 5 or 6. I have not, all of my dreams, aspirations, goals, I haven't been working on them like I was before. All the visualizing and all this other stuff that I was doing, nah. It's in the mail. You didn't need
to anymore.
There's nothing else I got to put into this. I call them energy dollars. Every second you're spending on a problem or a gift, you're giving it one energy dollar. Not every second, but every moment. You're giving that gift one energy dollar. Okay? I've paid all the energy dollars into that Lamborghini that I have to. Now it's just on its way. And since it's on its way, I can think about all the different places I'm going to go with it. And, I'm going to flex and, meditate with it and, how it's going to look. I can do all that. And the ego is no bearing. It's sitting back in the corner playing cards. It's not even paying me any attention at this point. And that's what I want. You don't want an ego that, like, I always compare it to the wild. You see a whole crap load of buffalo, right? Grazing, eating. And every now and then you see a pile of hyenas, a pile of lions, a pile of cheetahs way off. And can you imagine trying to eat your meal knowing that there's a predator 100 yards away that's waiting for one of y'all to slip up? That is a horrible way to live. And I kind of think of the ego like that, just sitting back, waiting for you to say something wrong, like I love life, or I have a lot of money, so you can say, well, actually, you only got, and show you your bank statement. Like, it's like waiting to kick your back in. And with this exercise, it's not even paying me no mind. It's in the corner.
Really important to acknowledge here. The Amazon that you're talking about is the imaginary Amazon. It's not the one that's actually over in California or wherever it is. It's the one that's behind the wall, the one you imagine. It's kind of like what you were talking about, the difference between your father and your imaginary father. In this case, it's the difference between the Amazon and the imaginary Amazon. So because it's the imaginary Amazon, you can basically say anything you want about, well, yeah, it's on order. Yeah, it's being delivered. You can even imagine the route, and it's true because it's the imaginary one.
I've took it a step further, and I say, you know what? Conversations, meeting people. Oh, I already ordered that. It's just on its way. And you can apply that: being healthier, eating healthier, living a healthier lifestyle, improving a relationship. I've ordered that relationship mended. It's on its way. I don't know how it's going to get here. I don't care what truck delivers it to what truck to get it to my front door. I just know it's coming, and that's it. And because when you say it's coming any other way, the ego steps in and says, well, you haven't paid for it yet. What's it going to take for you to get that money? When you think about it this way, this is me and the universe. Me and the universe way stronger than any type of paper dollar, currency, thought process, government, standings, proceedings, paperwork. Me and the universe, when I order stuff, it just delivers. I don't care about the middleman. And it all, now I'm thinking about it, it helps me pull back from the middleman as well. Yeah, how's it going to get here? Who do I got to talk to? Oh, I got to go to this next convention and meet whoever I got to meet to get me to the next area of my life. Nah, I'll just place the order.
Well, we have a Facebook user in the live stream who posted a note that said, and then gratitude that it is meant for you.
That's what I was talking about. And when I order a remote control airplane off any website, in the days that it takes to get to me, and I'm like envisioning myself flying it, that smile, that feeling is pure gratitude for my life experience with this object in that moment. It hasn't come yet, but it feels like it's happening right now. That's how happy I am for it. That's how thankful I am for it. Gratitude and confidence are the two keys to life. Confidence in your ability to get things, whether it be a relationship or just a meal, and the appreciation for it before you get it. It's easy to appreciate something after you got it. It's easy. It's there. But to appreciate it when it's eluded you for 10 years, ooh.
And if you're having trouble appreciating it before it's eluded you, try appreciating it after you've gotten it. That's the other part that people screw up on. They get stuff and then they don't appreciate it. Like the perfect opportunity to practice getting that appreciation muscle built up. And what do? You don't do the exercise. I mean, come on. It's right there. It's waiting.
I call myself it's written on the back of my business card. The thoughts become things king. I'm also the king of that. I'm also the king of getting some stuff and then forgetting to appreciate it. Just like so many little toys. I'm like, I want that. I order it. Oh my God, it's coming. And I get it. I put it on a nightstand where it belongs and then I walk away. And it's like, that's another manifestation that I can appreciate.
Because I order a lot of stuff at Amazon, and I'm talking the real world Amazon, not the imaginary one. When the real one comes, I don't care what it is. Like I ordered cat food, so I got cat food delivered. I'm trying to remind myself, be grateful for the fact that the cat food arrived.
I need more of that. Oh my goodness, my life. I do need to be more thankful. I have the confidence part down as far as my ability to manifest. I think I'm the best manifester in the world. Even though I haven't manifested the two big things, I know why. You know what I mean? I know exactly why, and I haven't been working on it, so it should be exactly where it is. But my confidence in that is the bomb. The gratitude portion, I got to work on that.
It's like anything else. It's a habit that we have to develop, and when we don't develop it, we experience the consequences that come from not developing it. And when we do develop it, it's like anything else we do chronically. It becomes easier.
I've in the past 4 or 5 days that I've been doing this next exercise, I find myself and I'm going to say specifically in the morning and before I go to my bedroom at night, in this like state of bliss. Like, God, I love this thing called life. Like that mentality, like, yo, this is just, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
and
that's great appreciation.
That's my gratitude. That's the gratitude I'm constantly giving off. But I want to get to the other one. I want to be specifically saying thank you. Not just, I love this car. Thank you for this car. I love this life. Thank you for this life. Because it's two different notions. They're both a form of gratitude, but one is a statement of how much I like something. The other one is thank you for giving it to me.
Good point. Yeah.
You know, now you're having that direct conversation with source, with God,
Yes.
with universe. Now you're having a direct conversation I was talking about having in the mirror, as opposed to just, I love this, saying it outward for the world to hear. It's totally different. It's totally different way of talking, and you get better results when you're having that conversation.
It doesn't even matter what words you're saying, really. What matters is, are you experiencing that exchange with that internal being, or are you simply experiencing it with the external world?
Yeah.
The difference is in where's the vibration emanating to, not where it's emanating from. Where's it emanating to? It's coming from you, but where's it going? Is it going out into the external world? Nothing wrong with that. But is it also going internally? Powerful. That's where real power comes in.
I would say it like this. If you sit in an empty room and you say whatever good gratitude words out loud, I like to think of it as reaching as far as my voice reached.
Okay.
And when I'm comparing it, because normally I think of it reaching the universe, all the way to the edge of the universe and then come back. But in comparing it to talking directly to source, I would compare that. I would say I'm only reaching as far as my voice sounds. Because when you're saying it directly to source, you get faster results, better results. One of my best exercises is a watcher exercise, which is simply feeling source watching you. Mm-hmm. So I'm a huge component of having that direct conversation versus just saying it out loud. Like impact wise, I would say saying it out loud compared to talking directly to sources. It's only going as far as your voice.
Something else that I don't have time to go into because we're past our 1 hour mark. But I talked about it a little bit. Yeah, it's crazy, I know. But we talked about it earlier in the week in other episodes, so I'll refer listeners back to those episodes for greater detail. But there's a book that my sister gave me for Christmas that was written in the 1980s called The Secret Life of Plants. And the big takeaway that I have from that book right now is the ability of plants to detect what their caregiver is experiencing when the caregiver is hundreds of miles away, and to experience it at the instant that the caregiver is experiencing this. And they have all kinds of tests that have shown, they do actual testing to see if that works, and it actually does work. And I'm reminded that what that's basically telling me is, in this case, we're doing it through plants, but literally the entire universe everywhere, not just immediately around you, but everywhere is emanating what it is that you're putting out at all times. Now it's doing it for everybody else too, but that doesn't mean your signal's getting lost in the whole mess. It's not getting lost at all. And probably the biggest thing we can do is to recognize that signal that we're always putting out, because we always put out a signal one time, one way or another, positive, negative, I don't care what it is. That signal is carrying everywhere. And we're tuning I like that because it reminds me of just how powerful we really are beyond our usual beyond our usual ability to believe. We really do have power going out in all directions. We're kind of in a sense like, the 2-year-old who got behind the wheel of a real car and is steering all over the place while the car's going all over the highway and people are going crazy and so forth. We're like that kid who hasn't learned how to drive yet. We're trying to learn how to drive the darn car. And until we do, we're like dangerous. But once we start to recognize that we really do have that level of power, it gives us, first of all, a sense of responsibility, like, oh, wow, I really do need to take control of that steering wheel. And it also gives us a sense, once again, of what we get from that mirror work of confidence. Like, oh, wow, I am confident. I've got this power. I may not have totally learned how to use it yet, but man, there's no limit to how much I can do.
Am I accurate in saying that we are self-aware tuning forks that aren't always self-aware?
That's a good way of saying it. I like that.
A lot of times we're on autopilot.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're receiving. Well, let me say receiving, but I like the tuning forks, man.
That's good. That's really
All
good.
right. That's too good. You can wrap us up on that.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, this has been a great conversation about mirror exercises. And tell us again, the Thoughts Become Things Summit. It's on January 21st, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yes. Neo-Positivity Thoughts Become Things Summit is January 21st from noon to 4 p.m. Open campfire type atmosphere, lightning rounds, panel discussions. The best law of attraction information that I could possibly put together is going to be displayed for everybody. So bring your notepads, tell as many people as you can about it, because you're helping us spread the message. And I'll see you guys there. Hopefully Walt's going to step in and bless us.
I'm going to try to drop in. Yeah. And I know a couple of people who've been on the show are going to be dropping by too. So you're going to have quite a crew there that day, I'm sure.
Nice. Yes. Speaker cameos. I like speakers that come up, give me an update, your latest exercise, whatever we can get from everybody. And that's why I try to keep as low speakers as I can. I was supposed to only have 4 speakers, but I think I have like 8 now.
Yeah, there's always more than that.
Just end up meeting people and you're like, oh my goodness, your information is so solid. Come on in. And, so it's going to be a great time. I look forward to seeing you all there.
I'm looking forward to it too. And of course, we got to do our shout out to our friend Debbie G, who's still healing, getting better and better and better. Voice isn't quite there, but she'll be joining us. I wouldn't be surprised if she's joining us sometime by the end of this month. I mean, that's not something I know for sure, but call it a prediction. That's my guess of what's going to happen. So Debbie G, we're thinking about you. And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.